right for it.
If it isn't going to hit that radar, it is going to get very, very close to that radar. Now, the only, of course, issue with that is that radar gives us our information to tell you what is going on. And we have other radars around, but the only problem is this is the closest radar that's going to give us the best idea. The further away from the storm you go, the higher up that radar beam goes, so the harder it is to pinpoint exactly where rotation
Courtney,
is happening.
You bring up a really good point. This is very close to the ground. Because this is right next to the radar. So this is shooting only 300 to 400 feet above the surface, and this is very tight rotation, 300 to 400 feet above the surface. And now that I'm thinking about it, that means we would see debris, and it doesn't look like we're seeing debris, but it would be very easy to see debris in this type of scenario since this is extremely close to the radar. It's right there at Academy Sports and Outdoors. I keep saying that because
I'd be very curious to see what our next couple of radar scans look like. Okay, everybody, so we're going to show you this really quick. If you could take Max 2 for me. Thank you. Appreciate that. So here is the rotation. Here's the radar. This is moving right towards this. If all of a sudden we start losing data, you know what happened. We had this hit the radar. That is definitely possible. If you live near this, there's no way you can miss this thing. You know, if you live near the Jeffersonville radar, it is pertinent that you are in that interior room away from doors and windows. This is probably the strongest signature, and naturally you're going to see that the closer you get to the radar. It's easier to pick up all of the rotation within this system. However, if you live in or around this area in Jeffersonville near the radar, you need to be in that safe spot. This is the most put together couplet we've seen this morning. So this so far has been the most concerning couplet that we have seen. So let's zoom in on just a couple of spots. Of course, this is all right around the radar. This probably takes you to the gate around that radar site. So in places like Fox Chapel Road, White Road, that takes you into that area. Of course, we've been talking about Academy Sports, that distribution center there, Green Road. This already went along 16. This went over 16. And without it showing if it hits the radar or not, if we even go past that, along Highway, it looks like 18. Here is Gordon Road right here. Just something to keep in mind. If this passes the radar, you're next.
And Courtney, just if you go south just a little bit, you get into Jeffersonville. This is headed right towards Jeffersonville, right into where the center of Jeffersonville is. I mean, you look at where the rotation is, right? So it's right here, right? So what it would do is essentially hit the radar and then right into downtown Jeffersonville. So if you are in Jeffersonville right now, you need to be in the lowest level of your structure, the most interior room. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Don't be close to doors and windows. Again, this is Jeffersonville, and this is not far away. This is in the next 5 to 10 minutes for Jeffersonville, and especially 96 from I-16 to Jeffersonville, and then further, it looks like 96 actually goes off to the west there. I believe that is Georgia 18 out of Jeffersonville. This area of rotation is headed right towards that area as we speak. This is the next 5 to 10 minutes. This isn't 15, 20, 30 minutes from now. This is happening right now in Twiggs County as it continues that northward motion. And Courtney, I was just thinking, when you get these signatures close to the radar, they don't appear like they typically do because they're lower in the atmosphere, because the radar beam shoots up, and the further away you get, the higher up it gets. So we're not going to see a traditional tornado signature in this type of situation. Now we see the red and green really tight right there. It's not necessarily a large area like how we typically see these things, but it is probably still there. It's just so close to the radar that we can't get a good measure of it.
Right, absolutely. And what we have been talking about, we've been stressing Jeffersonville, of course, that is where you need to take immediate action now, because that center of rotation is going to be your way in the next few minutes. But do keep in mind, parts of Wilkinson County, you are still in this polygon.
Yeah, Courtney, look just behind you, just to the...
I was just looking at that right here. Yes. So another area of rotation, I believe there was one in Dodge County, if you want to check on that too, Alex. I was looking down in Dodge County. But either way, this polygon does extend into Wilkinson. Of course, that doesn't include Irwinton. If you live in the Irwinton area in Wilkinson County, you are not in this polygon. So if you heard any sirens or you had that EAS alert come on your phone, and you live in Irwinton, right now we are not totally concerned about you. But we are having to watch that area of rotate. I would be very surprised to see what goes on with the Jeffersonville radar. Either that potential tornado, we can't confirm that yet, rolled right through, or it fell apart. But look, here we are watching this area of rotation. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit on that just to see who is around that, so we can just get you prepared just in case. That's just west of the Ripley area. Fitzpatrick, of course, we're looking about right here for where that rotation's trying to get its act together. Pretty broad, though.
If we can really fast, come to me.
Sure.
The CC values picked this up just before it went into what's called the cone of silence around the radar. So this tells me that there could have been something right along 96, and there's the update. You see it move from this area up here. That is what could potentially be a debris signature, but we are so close to the radar that I can't confidently say that it is. However, it was small and it was confined right there, and it continued to move towards the radar. Let me flip back over to velocity, and just as I'm saying that, I know this is very small, but right where we were, there's the green and there's the red. And this is so close to the radar that that's all you'd see if there was a tornado right there. So what this tells me is we could have seen something down here. There was debris alofted, and that is moving towards the radar as we speak, right up Georgia 96 and Twiggs County, right up into Jeffersonville.
Absolutely. And the thing about what Alex said, there's something called the cone of silence. So there are a few caveats with radar. One thing, the further away you go, the higher up in the atmosphere you are, so it's harder to read things closer to the ground. But also, the closer you get to the radar, those highest elevation angles that are right around the radar, you can see this little area right here, that's essentially where radar can't necessarily pick up. It's called the cone of silence. So once you head into that, you're kind of in a dead zone, and then everything picks back up once the radar is essentially able to hit its target and come back. It needs to be able to hit something and read it and come back. So that's where you have that problem there. So we'll continue to keep an eye on what happens on the other side of that Jeffersonville radar over the next couple of minutes here. It does, again, that tornado warning, that goes into effect. Let me make sure that I get the proper time for you until 6:15. So that's the next 15 minutes or so. Otherwise, for those of you who are not waking up with us in parts of Twiggs County and Wilkinson County, there is no active warning in your area. So it might be stirring up a good bit outside. That is going to be typical with this rain band that's giving us these warnings throughout the morning, but you do not have an active warning unless you're waking up with us in parts of Wilkinson and Twiggs County for the start of the day. Let's see. I'm going to check chat. Nothing else going on in there except for...
Courtney, so just thinking about timing right now, we're coming up on 5:58.
Right.
So I don't know... Okay.
Beautiful.
Well, so we're in a tornado warning, right? Just a note to our producers, we are in a tornado warning right now. So I think we're supposed to continue wall to wall, if I'm not mistaken. But a quick note for everybody headed to school. We're coming up on 6 o'clock. I don't know what time school starts in Twiggs County, but if the buses are supposed to start running to go pick kids up here in the next little bit, it'd be better to hold off until this tornado warning is over. And that is slated to end at 6:15. So just starting to think we're getting in the time of people headed out the door, and we'll see what the warning does. It's got to come out of this cone of silence, the rotation signature, because right now it is right in here where we can't see it. We got to see where it comes out on the other side of Jeffersonville, Courtney.
Absolutely, yes. And just to give you a heads up, because like Alex said, I know a lot of people are getting ready to head out the door and the buses are starting to run this morning. If you are in places like Bibb County, Houston County, parts of Peach and Crawford County, don't really necessarily have to worry about the heaviest rain anymore. It does look like that is out of your way. Where the concern will lie as we go through the next few hours is parts of Washington County, parts of Johnson County, Lawrence County. This rain band is essentially going to do this as we head through the next hour or so. Hopefully by the time a lot of us are heading out the door, this rain band can get out of the way. But in the meantime, of course, obviously very strong storms in parts of Twiggs and Wilkinson, where we do have that warning currently. Also in parts of Baldwin and Jones. No warning there, but obviously some very heavy rainfall. And as we go through the morning, we'll continue to watch this. So we do have that active warning until 6:15. And Tasia, tell me what you wanted to do. Okay, and Caitlin and Wanye, we are sending it back over to you.
All righty then. Well, thank you, Alex and Courtney, so much. Obviously, Caitlin, a very busy morning here in the 13 WMAZ Newsroom and Weather Center.
Yes, we're going to get to a couple of headlines for you very quickly.
We're still in a tornado warning.
Yeah, we're going to go to Alex very quickly.
Yeah, just a note to our producers. We've got this tornado warning until 6:15, so we've got to stay on weather up until that. That's what we have to do. Courtney, I flipped this over to the Peachtree City radar, so we're looking higher up at the storm, and so we can actually see where the radar is, and we're still seeing that rotation signature.